Almost every bread in a Canadian grocery store looks different. But what if the biggest brands, no matter the label or price, are using nearly the same cheap ingredients and selling you illusions of choice? Behind familiar packages lie enriched white flour, low fiber, and shocking price differences, all controlled by a handful of powerful companies. The story you think you know about Canadian bread is engineered to keep you buying. But what is really hiding on these shelves? Wonder Bread sits on Canadian shelves as the classic soft white loaf. The first ingredient is enriched wheat flour. That is white flour with the nutrient-rich parts stripped away, then fortified with synthetic vitamins. Next comes glucose fructose, essentially sugar, followed by vegetable oil and a stack of additives you will not find in a home kitchen. Calcium propionate acts as a preservative to keep mold at bay for weeks. Sodium stearoyl, lactylate, and monoglycerides work as dough conditioners, giving Wonder its signature pillowy texture and long shelf life. These same additives, such as propionate and common dough conditioners, are found across almost every mass-market white bread in Canada. On the nutrition panel, the fiber content tells its own story, less than 1 gram per slice. For a food that is supposed to be a staple, that is shockingly low. Dietitians recommend at least 3 or 4 grams of fiber per slice for a bread that actually supports health. Instead, Wonder Bread delivers refined starch, added sugar, and a chemical stack designed for industrial efficiency, not nutrition. Some of these ingredients would not even make it onto the shelf in the European Union. Dough conditioners like azotic carbonamide and potassium bromate have been banned or heavily restricted there for years. In Canada, they were allowed until recently, and while they have faded from most major labels, the policy has focused on acceptable daily intake, not on removing industrial additives altogether. The result is a loaf that lasts longer, travels farther, and tastes the same every time, but gives you almost none of the benefits of real bread. Wonder Bread's ingredient list is not an outlier. It is the blueprint for the Canadian bread aisle. Different logos, different promises, but the same core formula. Learning to scan for enriched flour, added sugars, and a parade of dough conditioners is the first step to seeing through the illusion of choice. The bread may be soft, but the facts are hard to swallow. Dempster's Original White stands out on the shelf with a higher price tag, but the formula behind that price is almost indistinguishable from the budget loaves sitting a few feet away. Enriched wheat flour leads the ingredient list, followed by glucose fructose, vegetable oil, calcium propionate, and the same dough conditioners found in every major white bread. Yet Dempster's regularly sells for over $4 a loaf in many Canadian supermarkets. Budget brands with nearly identical ingredients often ring in at less than $2.50. The difference is not in the bread, it is in the branding. Dempster's is owned by Grupo Bimbo, the world's largest baking company. This same conglomerate also controls Villaggio, another familiar name on Canadian shelves. Villaggio's Italian-style white bread leans on thick, soft slices and premium packaging to justify a higher price point. But the numbers tell a different story. The larger slice size means each serving appears to have more sodium and sugar. When recalculated per 100 grams, the nutrition profile lines up almost perfectly with Dempster's and even the cheapest store brands. The illusion of variety is maintained by adjusting slice thickness and serving definitions, not by improving what goes into the bread. On the shelf, a side-by-side price comparison exposes the economic sleight of hand. Villaggio and Dempster's command a premium, but their core formulas mirror those of the discount loaves. The only thing that changes is the logo and the cost to your wallet. Grupo Bimbo's control over both premium and mainstream brands means shoppers can pay more for the same industrial product dressed up in different packaging. When familiar names and Italian branding are used to justify higher prices for the same basic bread, the real difference is not in the ingredients, it is in the margin. The premium price illusion is not just about bread, it is about how the Canadian grocery aisle disguises sameness as choice. Country Harvest projects an image of wholesome grains and healthy living, But in March 2023, a different reality surfaced. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued a Class 2 recall for several country harvest breads due to the possible presence of metal fragments. The recall was voluntary, the risk was classified as moderate, and the story barely made a ripple outside a government webpage. For most shoppers, the only sign was a lot code buried in fine print. Yet the bread stayed on shelves, advertising oats and seeds, while the episode faded quietly into the background. In an industry built on speed and volume, a single misaligned machine part can send metal through thousands of loaves before anyone notices. Recalls like this are not rare. They are just rarely visible. The economic pressures behind these incidents are everywhere in the bread aisle, especially at the lowest price points. Walmart's Great Value white bread is widely available for less than $2.50 a loaf. Its ingredient list is nearly identical to national brands: enriched wheat flour, glucose fructose, vegetable oil, dough conditioners, preservatives. The only thing missing is the marketing budget. When bread is this cheap, it is not because the recipe is better. It is because the system is built to maximize volume and minimize cost at every step, from flour to shelf. No Name, the flagship discount label at Loblaws, No Frills, and Real Canadian Superstore, follows the same playbook. The formula matches the big brands: refined flour, added sugars, the same suite of preservatives and conditioners. The difference is the yellow packaging and the lowest shelf price in the store. Loblaw captures the budget shopper with No Name, the health conscious with President's Choice, and the premium buyer with Blue Menu, all while using overlapping factories and supply chains. The illusion of choice is maintained through branding and pricing, not through real differences in what is inside the bag. When safety issues surface, they are handled quietly, and when prices drop, it is because the bread is engineered to be as cheap as possible. The same industrial pressures that keep costs down also allow quality slips to go unnoticed. In the Canadian bread aisle, the risks and the bargains come from the same relentless drive for efficiency. The label might change, but the system behind it rarely does. Dempster's 100% whole wheat presents itself as a wholesome choice, but the reality is more complicated. In Canada, whole wheat flour does not always mean whole grain. Wheat germ can be removed, leaving a loaf that looks healthy but falls short nutritionally. The label shows a modest fiber increase over white bread, yet sodium per slice often matches or exceeds the white version. Sugar is added to cover wheat's bitterness, and preservatives keep the bread soft for weeks. Over the past decade, the loaf's weight has quietly dropped from 600 grams to 570 grams, even as prices have held steady or risen. The healthy image is undercut by less bread, persistent sodium, and lingering sugar. Wonder Whole Wheat follows a similar script. Its branding leans on family appeal and whole grain promises, but the ingredient list includes the same industrial additives and dough conditioners as white bread. Baked in centralized factories, these loaves are often par-baked, frozen, and shipped long distances. The logistics require preservatives and conditioners to withstand freezing and transport, so the bread stays soft, but loses freshness and nutrition. The health claims fade under scrutiny. President's Choice Blue Menu offers a relative upgrade. Some varieties start with whole grain flour, skip glucose fructose, and boost fiber and protein per slice. A few even lower the sodium, yet the bread is still mass-produced, relying on preservatives and conditioners for shelf life. It is a step up, but the formula remains industrial, and the difference is one of degree, not kind. Silver Hills. Sprouted Power breaks the pattern. Its ingredient list is short: organic sprouted grains, water, seeds, vinegar, salt, and yeast. No industrial preservatives or dough conditioners. You will find it in the fridge or freezer, and it spoils faster. That is proof of real food. The higher price reflects organic grains, sprouting, and cold chain logistics. Here, the trade-off is honest. Pay more for a cleaner label and accept a shorter shelf life. A genuine alternative exists, even if it sits outside the mainstream. Now you know what you are actually buying. Canada's bread aisles are shaped by a handful of corporations, not real competition. Every label, every price, designed to look different, but built the same. Real choice starts with knowing what's actually in your food. The next loaf you pick shapes what gets stocked tomorrow. Choose with your eyes open.